The first thing Lyra noticed was the smell. It was wrong. Not the sharp tang of disinfectant she associated with execution chambers, nor the metallic stink of blood-soaked arenas where prisoners were displayed for sport. This smell was warm, organic, like heated grain and something faintly sweet. It confused her so much that for a moment she forgot to be afraid. Then she remembered where she was. Human ship. Her breathing quickened. Thin fingers clutched the tattered blanket wrapped around her small frame as she curled tighter against the cold metal wall. The chains around her ankle rattled softly, the sound echoing too loudly in the cramped holding room. Lyra squeezed her eyes shut, antennae flattening instinctively against her skull. Humans ate aliens. That was the first truth her broodmother had taught her. They were predators without honor, giants wrapped in armor, with jaws built to tear and hands built to break. If they captured you, they didn't kill you quickly. They studied you, used you, consumed you. Lyra was 17 cycles old, barely more than a child by her people's standards. She had been taken during a border skirmish, her research vessel disabled, her crew killed or scattered. The humans had dragged her aboard this ship like cargo. Execution would come soon. She hoped it would be fast. The door hissed. Lyra flinched violently, her breath catching as heavy footsteps approached. Each step sent vibrations through the floor, through her bones. She pressed her back to the wall, claws scraping uselessly against smooth metal as panic surged. The door slid open. The human filled the frame. He was taller than she imagined, shoulders broad beneath a worn combat jacket. His skin was pale, scarred in places, and dark hair was pulled back roughly at his neck. One eye was covered by a mechanical implant that glowed faint blue. The other, Lyra dared to glance at it, was tired. Predator eyes. She trembled, folding in on herself, antennae quivering uncontrollably. Please, she whispered in broken trade standard, voice cracking. I won't scream. The human froze. For a long moment, he simply stared at her. Lyra waited for pain. It didn't come. Instead, the human slowly lowered himself to one knee. The movement was careful, deliberate, as if he were afraid of startling her further. I'm not here to hurt you, he said. His voice was deep, roughened by years of shouting over gunfire, but there was no cruelty in it. No hunger. Lyra didn't believe him. That made it worse. You can't lie to me, she sobbed. I know what humans do. I know what I am to you. The human's jaw tightened. His gaze flicked briefly to the chain on her ankle, then back to her face. Something passed through his expression. Anger, maybe, or shame. My name is Marcus Hale, he said quietly. I'm a soldier. And what you think we are isn't who we have to be. He reached into his jacket. Lyra screamed. It burst out of her, raw and broken, her body curling as tightly as it could, claws shielding her face. She expected the tearing pain, the sudden end. Instead, something soft landed near her feet. She dared to open one eye. It was a ration bar. Human issue. Wrap. Touch. You haven't eaten, Marcus said. Have you? Her stomach betrayed her with a small, humiliating sound. Marcus didn't smile. He slid the bar closer with 2 fingers and then leaned back, deliberately increasing the distance between them. He sat on the floor, back against the opposite wall, weapon clearly holstered and hands resting open on his knees. I'll leave the door open, he added, so you know I'm not trapping you. He stood, paused, then did something that shattered everything Lyra believed. He unlocked her chain. The cuff fell away with a soft clink. Lyra stared at her ankle, unable to breathe. You You made a mistake, she whispered. I could run. I know, Marcus said. Why? He hesitated. Then quietly. Because you're not my enemy. And because someone once did the same for me. The door slid shut but didn't lock. Hours passed. Lyra didn't run. She ate the ration bar in tiny bites, expecting poison. None came. Exhaustion eventually dragged her into uneasy sleep. When she woke, she wasn't dead. Over the next days, Marcus kept coming back. Sometimes with food. Sometimes just to sit. He spoke to her about nothing. Stars he'd seen, planets he'd hated, the way war hollowed people out. He never touched her. Never raised his voice. Other humans passed by the open door, some staring, some scowling. Once she heard shouting, someone accusing Marcus of violating orders. He didn't deny it. She's a civilian, he said. And she's terrified. That night, Lyra cried silently, overwhelmed by a feeling she had no word for. Guilt. Trust came slowly, like fragile glass forming under pressure. She learned Marcus had lost his family during a planetary purge, an order signed by a council that never saw the ground burn. He joined the military believing he could protect others. Instead, he'd learned how easily necessary losses were justified. I see myself in you, he admitted once. Scared. Told the universe hates you. The turning point came during a ship-wide alert. Alarms screamed. The lights went red. Lyra panicked, scrambling back as armed humans flooded the corridor. Marcus burst into the holding room, breathless. Listen to me, he said urgently. There's an internal purge order. Command found out about you. Her blood ran cold. So this is it. No, Marcus said fiercely. Not if I have anything to say about it. He pressed a data chip into her shaking hands. This contains safe jump coordinates and clearance codes. I can get you to an escape pod, but they'll come for me. Then don't, she cried. Please. I don't want you to die. Marcus smiled sadly. That's the thing, kid. Already did. A long time ago. He guided her through smoke-filled corridors, shielding her with his own body when shots rang out. A blast tore through the bulkhead, sending him crashing to the floor. Blood soaked his uniform. Lyra screamed his name. I'm okay, he gasped. Go. I won't leave you, she sobbed, trying to drag him up. He grabbed her wrist, grip weak but determined. You already changed my fate. Let me change yours. Security rounded the corner. Marcus turned, raising his weapon one last time. Lyra ran. The pod launched into the void seconds later. From the viewport, she saw the human ship shrinking, alarms still blazing. She pressed her hands to the glass, tears streaming freely. Weeks later, Lyra stood before her people's council. She told them everything. About the human who should have been her executioner. About the kindness that broke her beliefs. About the soldier who defied orders not out of duty, but compassion. They are not monsters, she finished, voice steady despite the weight of her words. They are capable of mercy. And that is more dangerous than fear. Years passed. When first contact talks reopened, Lyra was there. Older, stronger, carrying scars and resolve in equal measure. She requested one name from the human delegation. Marcus Hale. They told her he'd survived. Court-martialed. Stripped of rank. Alive. When he entered the chamber, thinner and grayer, their eyes met. For a moment the war disappeared. You look taller, Marcus said softly. She laughed through tears. You still smell like ration bars. In that moment, surrounded by diplomats and soldiers, Lyra understood the truth. She had expected death. What the human did instead had shattered her world and rebuilt it into something better, something human, something hopeful.